Hi, I'm Roberta. Welcome to my kitchen. Today we're going to make a simple flavoured butter to go over some grilled corn. We're going to be serving it with our Mojo pork for Christmas Day, but this is a great compound butter to keep in the freezer to melt over corn, other vegetables, over rice. You could put it on a piece of grilled steak or chicken or even fish. It's a good all-rounder. Now, I'm a bit daunted about the pronunciation of this because when you see the word, there's lots of J's and I's in there, but it's Spanish, so I'm going with Ajilimójili. Now, Ajilimójili, meaning garlic sauce, is a hot and sometimes hot and sweet sauce that's typical in Puerto Rico. We're doing it today as a butter, so it's an inspiration from the Ajilimójili. What do we need to start with? That orange and lime that we saved when we made the Mojo marinade, and a couple of cloves of garlic. Now, if it's a great big clove like that, just one is fine. That's going into the blender bowl with our butter. I have some chopped coriander and chopped marjoram that's going in there with it. A little bit of cumin. Decent dose of salt, because our corn's going to want plenty of salt, and two more things: a little habanero that's been chopped. Now, I think the easiest way to get the seeds out of the habanero certainly is not with your finger, so cut the end off and just use a little spoon to get those seeds out. You can leave the seeds in if you want, but this is already quite spicy without the seeds. You can also leave the seeds in and just use half a habanero. As with all of the Caribbean recipes, in fact as with most recipes, it's really best if you season it to your own taste, and the chilies are part of the seasoning. So I'm going to put a whole small one in without the seeds, and we'll see how that goes. That's going to make it quite spicy, I think. And the only other thing is half a red capsicum. You can use the other half to serve with the entree that we're doing for our Christmas lunch, which is the Aussie riff on Solomon Gundy. So we're serving a whole bunch of baby veggies with that, and the other half of our, oh, that chili's getting into my throat. The other half of our red capsicum can certainly go in there. So we'll get rid of those seeds, and the blender's going to do its thing, but we just want to make it a bit easier on it, so we're just going to chop that up roughly and pop it in there. Okay, get those out of the way. Favourite kitchen gadget comes into its own yet again. Please be careful doing this if the blender's on. I normally don't, so I'm terrified of it biting my finger, but here we go. Okay, so we've blitzed that up quite finely. You'll see in a minute when I take it out. So I'll just get rid of the motor, scrape this down. I think we want it quite fine because we certainly don't want to find chunks of capsicum, and we don't want to hit too many chunks of chili either in this butter. Now, if you don't use it all on your corn, you can leave it in the freezer because we're going to freeze it to firm it up. You can pop any leftovers back into the freezer and use it another day. So now we have our nice, smooth, beautiful red terracotta almost butter. I'm going to get that all out of there. And we're going to roll it into a log. Now, you might have your own way of doing this. The way I do it is tend to spread it down the centre of a piece of baking paper like this. I don't know a better way to get this off than with my finger. And then we roll it over and use a ruler or something like that just to push it into a nice neat log. There we go. That's good enough. It's quite soft now. We're going to roll it up and twist those ends quite firmly so that it stays in a log shape. Pop it in the freezer and store it until we need it. Then cut it while it's nice and cold so it melts over that corn. So with our mojo pork, we have two side dishes. We have our rice and beans, and we have some beautiful grilled corn with our Ajilimójili, I hope I'm saying that right, with our lovely garlic butter. So we're just going to roll the corn in some olive oil. Now, coconut oil, vegetable oil, pork fat and olive oil all get used in the Caribbean, because remember we've had the Spanish, the British, the French. Not a lot of butter, Paul was telling me, until more recent times. But of course now, and also with the arrival of the Indians as indentured servants, there would have been ghee introduced. So it really is one of the great multicultural cuisines of the world. So today for our barbecue, we're using some lovely olive oil, extra virgin olive oil, to coat our corn, and then we'll pop it on the grill. So hopefully you're outside on a barbecue with your friends and family, but I thought it was probably easier to show you this dish if we use a char grill pan indoors. But it's also good to know that you can do this sort of thing indoors. You don't need good weather, and you don't need a backyard or a barbecue. So our corn's going on there, and really there's not much more to do except let it cook itself. It'll take a good 10 to 15 minutes. You want a nice char on it, and you don't want to turn it too often because it's going to take time to get that char happening. So there we go. Let's come back and look at that in a few minutes. So here's our corn hot off the grill, or still on the grill actually. It's quite charry, but that's okay. If you like it less charry, just turn it more regularly. But it does take quite a bit of heat and a good 15 minutes or so to cook it. So I'm going to pile this up on the plate. You could also leave the corn cobs whole. I think they present better cut like this. It's all certainly easier to share, but it's really just a question of personal preference. Pile them on the plate, pop the butter on top, leave it for a little while to melt while we get our pork and everything else ready. Enjoy.